Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to episode 43 of Climbing the Ladder. I'm your host, ChanmanV, and joining me as always is Mr. John Clark. What's up, John?
Not much, how are you?
We have the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Bernie Catalan on the show. It's Catalan or Catalan, or how do you say it right?
I've gotten used to people calling me Catalan, but it's actually Catalan.
All right, so
you got
okay.
that Spanish accent.
Spanish accent, but everybody knows you as Fuji. So Fujikura,
right.
Quantic Fujikura is on the show. He's the COO of the new Quantic Gaming, the Quantic Gaming Reborn. Welcome to the show, Bernie. It's a pleasure to have you on, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk a lot about just some of the details with you guys reforming Quantic and all that good stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I finally made it on the show. I know
yeah.
You were going to have me as your first guest originally.
Oh, yes, that's true. So, yeah, those you don't know.
You weren't quite as cool back then, but you're very cool now.
No. So he actually said no to me. It wasn't that Bernie was one of the first guys I asked to be a guest on Climbing the Ladder, and I think we ended up having Solo on instead. But yeah, the show just wasn't big enough for Bernie back then.
It was mostly just work schedule conflict.
Yeah.
So.
You were in school back then, right? And you were, I think.
No, I was just working.
Oh, were you working? Okay, couldn't remember if it was school or not. But yeah. But anyways, finally have you on. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be definitely a good time, and hopefully, we'll get a good sense of what you guys are going to be doing with Quantic. But I wanted to start off with talking a little bit about quick news. Let's see, and a few of the things I want to talk about is like things like Twitch Turbo, maybe a few things on League Season 3, actually starting this past week, and IGN being sold. And for those of you who are expecting David Ting on the show, he couldn't make it because of IGN, the whole IGN being bought by J2 Global, which I thought was a very fortuitous thing for us. Me being like the Oracle and all for having David already scheduled and this kind of being announced, but it ended up being actually a bad thing because David's like swamped now with a lot of stuff that he has to figure. I kind of work through whenever you have this type of transaction. So we'll have him back on the show in a couple weeks. I think the 19th to be exact. So expect David. He promised me he's saving a bunch of IPL 6 announcements for the show. So. Be on the lookout for that. And lastly, we'll just talk briefly about some sponsorship stuff like the whole Razer EG thing. But wanted to start off with the whole Twitch Turbo thing. Did you guys follow that yesterday? The announcement from Twitch, this new offering that they have on the site.
Yes. And then I got a full 40 minutes of it on the Too Good show today. Good Studios show.
Yeah, that's
studio place, whatever they call it.
Good 40 minutes, but not the angle that we have, right? Bernie, did you read much about it?
I read a little bit about it, but I've had a lot of going on recently. So.
a little bit of stuff going on. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about is Twitch TV just began like an offering just for like a site-wide type of package where you can pay $8.99 a month. It's a subscription package, and you can get things like no ads for any of the channels. You get choice of additional colors, additional customer support, and some other things. Like I think a badge too. Some other things that maybe I'm forgetting. But the Reddit thread, it caused a lot of stir, particularly for me too. Like I definitely put my comment in the Reddit thread too about it, and I could go on and talking for a long time. So, John, let me let you talk about it a little bit before I get into it.
What
are your thoughts?
My thoughts. To be honest with you, it was hard for me to understand. I don't do a lot of, outside of this. It was difficult for me to understand. But then, in a Skype channel that we're in, you talked about it quite a bit. And everyone was kind of discussing the, what could possibly happen for certain people. And then I got a good dose of it today on the Too Good show. But in listening to kind of your direction with it, I think that's probably a more important direction to go. I know there's a lot of people here that probably tuned into the Too Good show, so they don't want to hear it all over again, but I can assure you this, what Chris has to offer, I think is a slightly different angle on things. So, I mean, you're more an expert on it.
Yeah, so let me give you my take on it. And I actually spoke to Kevin last night and kind of gave him my feedback, just full out feedback with even suggestions. And the biggest thing for me when I heard the news was really the implications of the channels and the monetization opportunities for the channels. And it's not so much that I think the whole Twitch Turbo offering is a bad thing. I absolutely understand it from a Twitch standpoint. They need to generate revenue for the site. Might as well leverage the fact that they have so many viewers, and having a site-wide package totally makes sense. Why they chose $8.99, I'm not sure, because it's a very odd price to choose. I mean, why not choose $9.99?
Why are you saying it's odd though?
It's just a weird price. I mean, why not choose $9.99? You get an extra $1. It's still in the single digits. That type of thing. So they must have done some research to figure out exactly what $8.99 is, or maybe there's another reason that we don't know about. But for me, obviously a lot of the pushback on them doing it was really from channel owners that have subscription features, like myself. And the biggest thing was that there's so much overlap with the features that they're providing versus the channel subscriptions. They haven't shut down the channel subscriptions. You can still do them. It's just, now the whole blocking ads, which a lot of folks thought was the main reason people subscribe, is definitely overlapped now, with Twitch Turbo. There's no reason if that is the reason that you subscribe to channels, well, there's no reason now. You can just subscribe to and just a global one, right? But that's not a big deal to me. For me, the biggest concern for me was just Twitch not, in a way making things obsolete with a channel subscription feature, and not adding anything else. So not adding anything new when they're announcing this stuff, right? So what I'm hoping is, what I kind of heard from Kevin is that they are planning on doing some more for more additional features to the channel subscriptions, things that will help hopefully the content producers monetize. Like, I feel like Twitch has an enormous opportunity to monetize outside of ad revenue, meaning
and we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
At least you and I are. I don't know what Bernie thinks, that monetizing is not a bad thing.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, like some of the talk was making, like, basically that channel subscription has turned into a donate button. I hate that. Okay, like that is the thing that bothers me the most. Is like when people are talking that the only people who do subscriptions is really just to support the shows. Well, that's not what this should be about. It should be about value proposition. So content producers, yes, they will be required to offer a value for their customers or their viewers that they're paying, their subscribers, right? But they should be required to make new content, that sort of thing. But I feel like the platform Twitch should make features that help support that. Meaning, we should be able to do different price points. We should be able to have multiple offerings on each of the channel pages. Like, what if I want to like have like a one-time purchase type of offering? Whether it's for, I don't know, like a T-shirt. I don't know, whatever it is. Okay, I feel like Twitch has an awesome opportunity there because they're providing like a payment service in a way. Like they've created this payment module in a way that's integrated into the site that people can use, and they also take a rev share from the subscription revenue that the channel owners make. So I feel like that rev share, I mean, the actual channel owners are deserving of support for this. So
okay, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but so Scoots is in the channel.
Yeah.
And did you see what he wrote?
Nope.
He says, not to call you out, but you yourself do not even offer anything for the sub other than no ads and support the broadcaster. So he's making a point that...
No, I do. I do.
It's just, we don't have anything to offer.
No, that's not true. Like, Scoots obviously doesn't watch Pro Corner. I mean, anybody who watches Pro Corner knows that I do sub only. I've done sub only lessons with In Control, Scott. Where In Control gave free lessons to like viewers, particularly subscribers. I do giveaways for only subscribers. I mean, it's okay. It's not, it's not that we don't.
He's going off in the chat, so I'm trying to figure out exactly what he meant by it.
Yeah, but
okay, he says wait. Go ahead, keep talking. I'll watch it.
For me, it's just like I just hope that they add more capabilities for the channel owners to monetize outside of just ad revenue, and right now, just the way it currently is, it's it really is almost like it's almost like a donate button because it's just restricted to this one little button, and you have to pay $5 a month or nothing. I mean, or you just don't do it. Like, what if I want it to be $1 a month or $2 a month or $3 a month? You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, you can create your own PayPal button if you want, but I'd like to, I want to kind of support Twitch too, given that they're providing this access to us also. So I don't know. I feel like they should do a little bit more for us, and because we'll all make money from it.
Scoots has a good point, but you and I have talked about this before. In caps, all caps. Nonetheless, he
Scoots,
said,
the reason that you're not seeing much from it, Scoots, is because I just got the damn thing. Okay, I've been doing PayPal for a long time, so that's the reason that I haven't quite done it yet. But I'm not speaking just from my standpoint. I'm speaking from the standpoint of just all content producers. Like I'm trying to look out for everybody, because I want folks to be able to live in this ecosystem. I want them to be able to make money, make a living off of this stuff, and not necessarily have to be one of those giant channels. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, I could go on with Scott forever, and Scott, we'll get you on the show eventually, man. So we can just talk about it for ages.
Chat alive. That's good. Though.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so that's Twitch Turbo. We won't spend too much on that. So let's talk about League of Legends Season 3. I know, John, you might have a few comments about that.
Well, people that have listened to me before, whether on this show or in Skype, groups, know that I've had some reservations on the whole, developer kind of taking things over in regards to their game and offering the esports community, like the top level leagues and whatnot. Just recently, probably in the last week, I've read a couple things, and I've always been skeptical, just because I've seen this done before and it's failed, or I felt like, Riot had the right idea, but the wrong execution of it, or they didn't have the right people in place. And I think what I've been reading lately, I really do feel like they have an idea, or they get it, to quote Sundance, but they do get it. They get the idea that growing the entire pie, as I've said before, is probably the best way, not only to grow their brand, but to grow esports in general. And some of the ways that they've set up their Season 3, they just released, and it may not have been today, but I saw the tweet today, lolesports.com.
Yeah.
Actually very interesting, very dedicated to the results, kind of like an ESPN for just Riot and just League of Legends. It was actually I'm actually starting to get quite impressed with their direction. Again, I'll probably wait it out, and we'll see how, the final execution of it all works out, and how, I don't know what the right word is, but how controlling they are on their intellectual property, what others are able to do with it, and how well they work with what I think is really what will help grow, and that's like the MLGs and the IPLs and ESLs, and we'll see how that goes. But I think I've had a little bit of a change of
a little bit of a change
of opinion on this at this point, and we'll see. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal, because I've been very vocal about some of my disagreements in the way that they're doing things. So we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am too. I've been in the wait and see mode for a while now with the whole League of Legends 3 or Season 3. What about you, Bernie? What do you think? Have you been keeping up with that, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're really interested in League of Legends. It has a lot to offer to just teams and sponsors. There's a lot of viewership there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's awesome what Riot's doing. They're paying the players enough money to become full-time players to just justify, whether they go to school or not. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I really like when developers get into the mix.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, the developers, they have a lot of money too, right? And
they have a ton of money.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with the equation too. Well, what do you mean we assume that? They definitely have a lot of money. That's not even a question.
I mean, they have more money than the teams, right?
Expendable money to put into, because essentially it's marketing.
It's marketing. That's even better. They have an actual expense they can use on esports, right? So. The model for them is pretty good. It's always been just more of a fundamental question of whether a publisher should be involved with the esport itself. I mean, that's really been my thing. But I'm happy with what they've been doing so far. So it's been good stuff. I've enjoyed season 3 in the game too. It's pretty good. But okay, let's move on to IGN being sold to J2 Global. Again, that's the main reason David Ting's not here. Would have been awesome to kind of get his insight on it. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's going to actually affect IPL? Any experiences with that in the past, John, with folks being bought out and basically eSports branch going to hell after that?
Well, I mean, one of the perfect examples, but it's odd because it was one esport organization buying out another, which was when Gottfried got bought out. And there was a lot of hope initially for it. It's not that it was dead at that point. It was just, this was maybe working itself into a bigger space, and it was going to be great. Without fluffing it, MLG pretty much fucked that up. Apparently, yeah, and it's not getting any better. Those things have happened. I think it happened, when I was at GGL, if I remember right, and that may have been a different company, but I think it happened at GGL. A lot of times it can be better, but in this case, I just don't know. I mean, again, this is one of those wait and see kind of things. And I'm curious to hear what David has to say about it all.
Yeah. Well, so again, we'll see in 2 weeks, get his kind of thoughts on it, because not only is David the general manager of IPL, esports kind of branch of IGN, he's also the VP of R&D for IGN itself. And I'm not sure if he's still VP of engineering, but at one point he was VP of engineering too. So he's definitely got a a good inside look at everything. But okay, let's move on to, I just put on here Razer and EG and just sponsors in general. What do you think about the announcement or the video? I mean, obviously, I think everybody in our circles already knew about this, right?
The announcement, say that again?
Yeah, what do you think of the announcement?
From EG?
EG, yeah, and from Razer, kind of together, the Facebook, I guess, page.
Well, again, they went over this on the good
We're never gonna do it like that. We're probably not gonna go over that funny.
It was interesting, but I think we've said this before, and they said it on the Good Show too. It doesn't matter how bad it was. In fact, being bad whether it was bad or not, the production value or whatever, or how stupid it may have been, it got people talking about it, and ultimately that's the ultimate, that's the end result, and it worked.
What I want to know is how they're going to make that green and that blue work together.
Turquoise.
Turquoise and blue work together, because those colors clash, man.
Inside sources that they are changing their colors to turquoise and pink.
What?
No, of course I'm joking.
Biggest troller here, man. But no, it's it's cool though. I mean, obviously, Razer. I'm a proponent of Razer too, so it's really cool to have EG basically in the team Razer, and hopefully I'll be doing some more stuff with those guys on various projects. So good stuff. All right, let's jump on into Quantic with Bernie. That's why we have Bernie here, and so obviously Quantic announced Quantic Gaming Reborn. The video was pretty cool. That y'all, I think it was Friday, right? Friday, you guys.
Yeah, we announced on Friday.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about, I guess, how long I guess the whole process took to really get to the announcement.
It took about a month, I would say.
Oh,
we started talking about it all at the beginning of the year, and one of my good friends actually leaked some information. So as a result, we kind of had to hurry up and kind of announce a lot sooner than
Something got leaked? Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, it's this guy that I'm really good friends with, and I have drinks with at MLGs, so.
Right. Well, I mean, I heard also that a lot of the, I guess, players in the tournaments like IPL and MLG were being announced too, and like Hyun was being announced, right? That he's playing in, was it IPL, or I heard it had something to do with those kind of announcements too, that you kind of had to announce on Friday.
Right, like we had it's called the IPTL.
Oh, IPTL,
the team league, right? Yeah. And since we have to submit the rosters beforehand, but IPL had a deadline to just release the rosters to all the other teams, so that would have been a leak as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Okay, cool. So, what I've been seeing around, just a lot of talk, right, is really comparing, I guess, Quantic and kind of what happened with, the Quantic and how it went down, just kind of how it was built before versus, this new Quantic. And, the reality of it is it's mostly just the brand that you've taken. I mean, this team is really more of a merger between Gosu and Fortnite. Correct?
That's where the confusion is coming from a lot of people. They're asking that question. So you may want to, this could be a perfect opportunity to really explain that, how the makeup of it actually works.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is us taking the brand, but there's a lot of staff that's behind the scenes that's still involved. Like the entire Quantic media staff is still there. That never disbanded, and we have writers that can come back and...
Okay.
So when you say media, Gwen or Garrett is part of that as well?
No, Eric. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Eric. I dealt with Eric with videos and stuff. He's a good guy. Yeah. And who's writing for Quantic?
At the moment, we're bringing in some Gosu writers. I'm not really sure who's coming back from Quantic, though. We've had a lot of interest. A lot of people have been reaching out to me after we re-announced, so I have to engage a lot of interest from former Quantic management. So that's been keeping me pretty busy.
So how big of a decision was it to use Quantic's brand? I mean, how big of this decision was it to use, to have their media team and their marketing team? And did that play a big factor in really the decision, or was it mainly just getting the Quantic brand?
I think it was just the Quantic brand. I mean, we discussed whether if we wanted to just create a whole new entity or go with Gosu or for not. It just made more sense to go with Quantic. There's just more access from the Quantic brand, so that's...
Were you worried initially? I mean, I'm sure one of the thoughts was, was the brand name tarnished because of how kind of things ended? Were you a little bit worried about that?
I mean, the ending was kind of abrupt, but they did pay the players and management all through February, so it wasn't like they just cut everybody out and just left them in the cold. Mm-hmm. And I mean, teams have shut down and come back. Complexity is an example of having done that. I mean, it wasn't a month later, but
it's a lot longer. Yeah.
Right, they did come back. So
were you guys going to merge regardless of Quantic or not? I mean, was Gosu and Fortnite going to create something?
No, I mean, we were just all operating on our own, and then Mark came with us with the idea.
Right.
I mean, we hadn't even considered a merger until the idea was presented forth. And we didn't actually discuss whether we wanted to go solo with Fortnite about it. We just kept trying to see what would work. So.
Okay, I see. So one thing I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that I know Gosu. You were with Gosu. You were managing or general manager of Gosu, I think. And what I heard was that you guys were pretty close to. You didn't have like super high profile players except for maybe Wang Sin, but you guys were getting pretty close to actually being even. I guess from an operational standpoint, was that correct? Or I
mean, operationally, I would say we were. That's why we were chosen. Gosu is the operational brand. We're operating Quantic, so that's why we were chosen to do that. Is because we have a lot of stability. We don't overextend on anything. So, and we run events. So that Gosu wasn't really a team. It was more like an events organization that took on a team.
Oh, okay. So you had revenue, basically, coming from that was supporting the team, basically.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked that was just because, why merge with anybody if you kind of have something good going and you're kind of you and Fortnite, they were organically kind of built up, right? Mm-hmm. And why now just kind of just combine everything together and really just like create this giant thing versus just continue growing it organically?
I think it's just the opportunity of it all. It's a big opportunity for everybody involved. And
so talk about that opportunity. I don't know exactly, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, the Quantic brand, they spent a lot of money to get the brand where it is. It's a globally recognized brand. So, mm-hmm. I mean, that's really appealing. It would have cost Gosu and Fortnite hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that type of notoriety. So, I mean, if we can just step in and take over and improve on what was once there, why not?
Are you worried at all that, the actual community are associating Quantic to those players that were used to be on Quantic, like Illusions and those guys?
I mean, yeah, they're awesome players, but I mean, they weren't always on Quantic. I mean, it wasn't like they weren't the original players. They were brought in through the Vile merger. So I feel that the players we have now, like Hyun and Center, both GSL players, and Hwangson is really, really personable. So I feel that the diehard Quantic fans, they'll learn to love these players. I mean, they're really lovable players, and I want to say that we skill-wise we're better skilled on our current roster than what Quantic had before.
Do you put skill as the is at the top of your list as far as the decision to put together that specific roster? Was skill the top of your list?
I mean, it was something that I always look at. I mean, I go for skill, but if you look at Hyun, he's really a marketable player. If you look at he had this NBC when he was in KESPA NBC selection ceremony. He comes out and he does this drunken brawl ceremony, and he dances and that's like awesome stuff, right? You can really work with a player that way. He's got an awesome personality. The thing is, a lot of Korean player ESF teams, they are marketed well. So I think that's one of the reasons is why Hyun isn't really as popular as he should be, because nobody really knows. They weren't streaming. He wasn't being sent to events. It was Pulse and I think Inori were going to a lot of events. So
yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that on your roster, Hyun is, by far the most popular guy, I think, right now. Just because, like you said, he's quite marketable, especially with the whole IPL, huge thing last year.
Right, it's like 16 kill streak or whatever.
Exactly, right, and that kind of propelled him, into GSL, just the finals and everything, right? Was it the finals or semis? Gosh,
no, he was runner up, so he got second.
Yeah, he's in the finals.
GSL CoD.
Yeah. So, I kind of want to talk about the roster with you. And for those of you who don't know Fuji or Bernie, he's always been a great player manager. Like, for the teams I used to work for, at Check 6 and it's Gosu, he's always done a really great job managing the players and, looking out for the players. I talked to you for a while about that, right, Bernie?
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to ask you about your roster then. So you've always been a guy about skill, right? Like that, it has a lot to do with or just potential right. of the players. Outside of Hyun, I have to say, and maybe Wang Sin too.
Center, don't get center.
Yeah, centers too. Talk to me about the other guys. I mean, the other guys, I of course know who they are, but most of the community probably doesn't know, like Masan and DDE's been out for a while. Glon, probably not a ton of folks know Glon from VVV. And so, why those guys?
Well, I mean, I have a really good relationship with a lot of these players. I've seen them play firsthand. I mean, like Glon, for example, he's had really awesome runs at MLG. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. He's an up-and-coming player. Mm-hmm. And I have faith that he'll do well, especially in Heart of the Swarm. He's been doing really well. It might not sound like much, but because it's still in the beta, but he was actually the number 1 ranked on that or Zerg in the world for a bit. So,
okay.
I mean, I expect good things out of him.
Yeah, he's a good player. There's no doubt.
Right.
He's a good NA player because he hasn't had much experience outside of NA, right?
How are you going to balance your focus on skill with what I feel, and I think Chris will agree, which was lacking with Quantic previously, and that is the marketability of your players and pushing them out there, because that's one of the main reasons why your sponsors are going to be on board.
Right. What we're really doing is, I started pushing this on its Gosu before. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but we're doing a lot of blogs, a lot of guides, and Hwangson even released a Code S predictions that went out on Reddit. So that's what we're going to start pushing, is a lot of content from the players. So blogs, video blogs, just anything to get their name out there further is what I'm really going for. And it's also going to drive website traffic, so it's a win-win. Mm-hmm. So it gets their name out there, it brings traffic to the site, so I guess that's my solution.
And is that the value that the sponsors are looking directly at? I mean, is that what they're looking for? Have they laid out any plans, for ways that you can?
Well, I think the biggest thing for sponsors would be, I would say, is streaming. Streaming more often is that, and so that's one thing in the contracts that I'm laying out is minimum stream requirements.
When you say laying out, does that mean you don't have contracts currently with the players, or there's going to be additions to it?
No, everybody's contracted. That's going to.
I was just asking because I'm sure that would come up on Reddit or something.
You're talking about.
Well, he just mentioned that the contracts that he's working out, and I just asked, does that mean that they're not currently contracted?
Yeah, I mean, why don't we just jump to sponsor? Yeah, so from a sponsor standpoint, which sponsors do you have right now?
Right now we have Scuff Gaming. We've got NOS. Neen is doing a lot of our media work right now for like designing our site. Twitch, and we've got a lot of verbal offers, but I mean, until we launched, we weren't really an entity that could be really signed. It was just a theory. So we're just going to close up a lot of stuff this coming week.
Okay, and are most of these going to be monetary sponsorships, or because I mean some of those that you mentioned there were mostly, I feel like, equipment type of things.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously a company needs money to survive, so we're primarily pushing for monetary compensation. Okay,
great. So with the current players, I mean, they were, a lot of them were on Fortnite and its GoSu, right?
Right.
And in your academy players, I've been saying like some of those guys have been, up and coming young players for a while now in NA, particularly Zeno and Boyo's obviously people talked about before, and Jake Bake and those guys. What are your plans with the academy versus the Ace team? Because some of those guys are pretty darn close, I would say, in skill level. So
right. I mean, I didn't want to just exclude everybody. If we put everybody on the A squad, it's going to be a huge roster. So the academy program is going to be an opportunity for them to earn events. So it's going to be similar to the complexity model, where we're going to have them practice and then do tournaments, and whoever wins is going to get sent to MOG or IPL or whatever event we're running the tournament for. And I'm also going to open it up to where people can apply and try out for the academy squad. So it's kind of like fostering talent in North America is what we want to work on. Okay.
You recently, let's see, how many Korean players do you have now in your squad? It looks like 5 Korean players.
Well, I mean, 4 competitive, and then Seo Hyun came in as like a liaison.
So that was obviously a question, is that you just recently picked him up, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I mean, he's a good player, but he goes to school, so he was actually a key part in picking up Hyun and Center. He was a translator involved in those deals.
Okay.
So, and he's helped me out a lot in the past with, when he was on Check 6, he helped me with the Korean scene. So he's just overall really helpful, and he's a good player. So why not have him play for your team if that's what he wants to do? So.
Right. I kind of want to ask you just a little bit about just really the mentality, like your mentality, obviously, and everybody's mentality, really, that's involved. Because, when you're talking about Quantic, right? Quantic was a big team. It was a global team, like you said. And, you guys are kind of upgrading to that point. So from the standpoint of management, like yourself, and from the standpoint of players, I mean, how should your mentalities change?
I mean, I don't think the mentality should change so much, but one thing is we might have to live up a little bit more to the name. And that's why we have like Hyun and Center. They're bigger names that Fortnite and its GoSu couldn't have picked up. Even if we would probably have to pay extra for players like that, because they'd be like, okay, it's GoSu, Fortnite, who is that? And then, but if you come and say, oh, Quantic wants you to join, then it's like totally different. Because before this merger started happening, I actually talked to some players, and they gave me higher figures for their salary. But when I came to them as Quantic, all of a sudden the salary figures just dropped, and I'm like, okay, so there has to be some correlation there.
Okay, so there's a lot of value there then coming from the brand.
And I'm not talking about like $200 or $300. I'm talking about like $1,000 difference. It just drops because to them joining a team that's not as popular is more of a risk. I want to say it's because it's not the brand isn't going to help them as much as they're going to help the brand. But for Quantic, Quantic has more to offer from a brand than its Gosu and Fortnite would.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool that you're talking about. A lot of things that you're talking about is really exemplifying just the value of the brand because I know a lot of people were talking whether we're really questioning just how much it was really worth, right? And it sounds like it indeed is quite valuable, and I mean just from everything that's been you've been saying so far. So
right. Well, I mean if you look at Team Liquid for example, whenever we would make player acquisitions or announcements, very rarely if ever they would make community TL news, and that. Whenever
Quantic, are you talking?
No, it's Gosu. It's Gosu, for example. Like we would do announcements and nothing would get on the community news.
Well, tell us how you really feel about that. I mean, really. Did you feel like you were getting shafted a bit?
No, we really did feel like we were being shafted because, I mean, if you go to their wiki, the Team Liquid wiki, it's Gosu was. Listed as a premier team. But if you notice when Root posts anything, like when they recruit any single player, it always makes community news. When it's Gosu recruited somebody, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I mean there's obviously things that influence, things like that, whether it's relationship, networking, that sort of thing. So that unfortunately that happens a lot.
But with the Quantic brand, that's more accessible. So whenever we make an announcement, it gets the most visibility. So,
talk to us a little bit about the management team. Like, who's in charge of what right now?
Okay, right now the owner, which is the majority owner, his name is Hugh. He was the It's Gosu owner, and he likes to be a lot behind the scenes. But he has a background in project management, so he keeps us all organized and on the ball. I'm the COO. I'm basically his voice. So whenever I'll be at the MLGs, you'll see me. Whenever something needs done, I'll get it done for him. So I'm basically running the team overall. And we got Simon.
Are you being paid? Just asking.
No, I am not being paid.
Okay.
And if
is anyone in the management position being paid?
No, we all have shares in the stake in the company, but we're not taking any money out. So
okay.
If I was being paid, I would just funnel it back into the team. I mean, it's an investment, so I'm not somebody that I don't need money to be in esports. I make a pretty good living outside of esports.
So what is Mark's involvement in the current version of Quantic?
Basically, Mark is more like an advisor. He founded the brand. He is kind of like an ambassador. So there's obviously everybody knows Mark. So what he's doing right now is he's connecting us to sponsors, to teams, to just getting us into the position he was once in. He's just passing.
Can I ask about that then, and the sponsors? And this has come up before. Is that we haven't. Have you released a full list of the sponsors that are on board? I mean, we haven't really seen a lot of information on the new sponsors.
Well, I mean, we have offers in place, but until they sign, we can't just say, "Oh, by the way, we've got."
So there are active offers and stuff going out.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
And we actually since Quantic was reborn, and Mark has said this before, it seems like there's a lot more interest in the brand. A lot of companies have come forth and contacted us, and that's something that I'm not really used to because when I was on It's Gosu, or on Check 6, I would always be sending out the emails. Here's my proposal.
Right.
Please look at me. Please listen to me. And now it's different. They come to us and they be like, "Hey, we're interested in Quantic." So it's a nice change of pace. It's a lot. It's more rewarding and refreshing because we put in so much work before, and it just didn't seem like there was any reward there. And now it's a lot better.
Yeah, and you know, I totally understand sponsors wanting to see the product actually living first before, you know, jumping on board. But during this kind of period where you're, you know, trying to close even more deals, right, and you have a few already closed, are you guys making enough revenue to cover this, or is it just coming out of pockets from you guys right now? I mean, like, how is it working right now?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of revenue, but we're pretty comfortable right now.
Are you guys
Really?
able to cover?
Wow,
I mean,
okay.
have you started paying the players?
No, I mean they get paid, you know, after a month of being contracted.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it hasn't quite. Well, it's been maybe 1 month right now, right?
No, it's been a week.
It's been a week. Oh, sorry, it's been a week.
Yeah, we announced on Friday. It hasn't even been a week. It's been
Yeah.
what, 4 or 5 days. So
Maybe
It's been a month to me, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so it's been a week. Okay,
But I
so you
mean-
haven't had to pay anybody yet. Okay, got it. Cool.
we can pick up more players right now with the budget we have, but I'm not going to do it. Like
Okay.
I can pick up like, you know, like Seo Hyun. He's not costing us anything.
Okay, so you're capped from a roster size standpoint until you get some more sponsors, I
Until
guess.
some of these verbal offers are signed, then
Okay.
yeah, I don't want to keep expanding.
I mean, you're pretty
I mean,
big.
we can, but I
don't
want
you
to.
worry that, and this just goes back to the old Quantic, we'll say, don't you worry that might have been one of the problems from before? And I know that in talking with you guys earlier in the process, like last week, that was expressed that, you know, you don't want to make some of the same mistakes that Quantic, not the brand, but the organization made previously, which was having such a large roster. I mean, you already have multiple teams now before not bringing, CSGO over and working on League of Legends. Does that concern you that, I mean, are you looking at some of the past mistakes and saying, we're not going to repeat these?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that Quantic does offer as well, is we can learn from their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that the reason that Quantic failed, I mean, you know, you can blame anything, but I feel that they grew way too quickly. So they were constantly trying to keep up and live up to the expectations of their brand. So they had to go out and sign expensive players, like really expensive, and pay them more money than potentially they're worth, or even contribute to the team. Because, like, say, okay, John, I'll take you for example.
Sure.
If I want to sign you to my team, and EG wants you as well, I'm gonna make you a high offer and be like, sign now, because you don't want to get into a bid battle against EG. So more often than not, you end up paying more than you need to just to secure what you need, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be just frank with you, Bernie, is that, you know, the only worries I have for you guys is really, you know, you're taking on the same type of feeling of the first Quantic, which was, let's invest a lot. You know what I mean? Let's build, like, and let's just, like, kind of have a big team and have, like, a house and have all this stuff and look, you know, have the look and feel of a big team and hope the sponsors, you know, kind of are responsive to that.
Right.
While before, you know, you guys were literally an organic, you know, just growing organically and spending the money that you guys are making and living within your means, you know what I mean? And just scaling it up slowly that way. That part is where I'm not seeing kind of like the connection between, you know, you guys wanting to really make that huge leap when, you know, you don't have the revenue channels to even support that right now, right? So
I mean, do you technically have any actual revenue? Not personal investments, but is there revenue from sponsors coming in or any other, you know, form of revenue? Is there actual revenue coming in at this point, or is it at this point you're still just being you know, privately funded?
No, it's not complete privately funding. We have some revenue, but I mean, it's not like anything to write home about. You know, it's not it's not $100,000 or anything like that. So
yeah.
But I mean, our budget isn't, what we're spending now isn't as much as what Quantic was spending in the past. I mean, I do have a small, I guess a mini team house, as you can call it, at my house, my private residence. Okay. I've got slots for up to 4 to 5 players to come in, and that's costing the company nothing. We took the bunk beds from Quantic, from the Quantic house. I went down there with a U-Haul van, took all the bunk beds, I took the Alienware computers, desk, everything you can think of, and I have set it up in my home. So that is a free team house, basically. So.
Right. And you're using that as a staging, kind of like a place for the Koreans when they come over?
Right, I'm calling it kind of like a landing pad for the Koreans. Pad, right. So we'll bring them here for, say we'll bring them for IPL open bracket, and they can stay here for up to 3 months. So MLG spring is usually early June, so they can be here from IPL through MLG on one plane ticket. So that cuts down on travel requirements, international travel requirements from Korea to the US.
Okay, great. What are some of the things that you're doing that's very team focused, like to really get all the players acclimated with each other and maybe practicing with each other? Are you doing any kind of practice sessions or scheduled practices?
At the moment, no, but a lot of the players are really interested in that, so I've assigned team captains for that purpose.
Okay.
And they're going to be in charge of, making sure that the players get together and practice. So for the main squad is Hwangson. He will be the team captain for that. And for the academy is actually Poke Bunny.
Okay.
And for the moment, Poke Bunny is actually acting manager because we don't have a manager for the academy. I'm actually looking for a manager. So if anybody out there is interested, get in contact with me.
All right. Get into esports or get into management in esports. All right. Great. From a standpoint of alternate kind of revenue channels,
right.
what are some of the things that, some ideas you guys have that, might not have been discussed yet?
As far as revenue channels, I mean, it's Gosu's known for hosting events. So we're going to transition that over to the Quantic site. The site's being coded currently. We actually have a full bracket system that is going to be implemented into the Quantic site. And obviously, like shops.
Shops meaning like merch or? Yeah,
merchandise.
Okay.
So like, the shirts, the Quantic shirts, hoodies, stickers or whatnot. We can go ahead and do that.
Where can we buy them?
At the moment?
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Okay.
Once the site is up, it'll be
on the site. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I mean the site.
This is going to be a completely new Quantic site, or just revamped. Okay.
Yes, even the design's going to be different. So.
Oh, okay. So the logo.
It's basically no, not the logo, but like the feel and design of the site.
It's the logo.
It's kind of like a merger between the Fortnite, it's Gosu and Quantic site. We're just implementing all the features that each site had and what each site lacked and just bringing it all together.
Okay, great.
And actually the owner is coding it all. He has a background in technology, so that's another cost we don't have to pay for is the website coding. So
it's always nice.
It's very nice. It's pricey, really quick.
Yeah, I know how much I charge people, so I know it's pricey. So there's been a lot of talk about StarCraft 2, but talk a little bit to us about the other teams, like the CS:GO team, Call of Duty team, right?
Yeah, we got North American Call of Duty.
They're all like really good too. So like, there should have been more attention drawn. I mean, a lot more people should have talked about those teams too.
Well, I think
obviously this is not just StarCraft. I mean, you guys are like a multi-team team or multi-team organization, basically. And I'm supposed to ask you, why is your CS:GO team? Why won't they stop harassing Curse?
What?
Yeah.
What
the heck does that mean?
The Curse team, your CS:GO team, apparently is harassing Curse.
I don't know, friendly banter. I don't know.
Okay, I was just I got paid $5 to ask that question, so I thought I'd do it. I just made $5.
I wish I had a good answer to
Twitch
that.
Turbo's going to pay me.
I really wish I had a good answer to that. Like I don't know, because they're mean. I don't know.
How much connection do you have to those teams?
I mean, honestly, at the moment, it's our esports director Simon, who was the Fortnite owner. He is transitioning that all over. I have actually more contact with the Call of Duty guys than I do with the CS:GO guys at the moment.
Okay.
But I mean, that's why he's the esports director. He has to have contact with all the teams.
I see. So you're mainly the StarCraft 2 guy.
Yeah, and overall, like just making like I'm the guy that comes to you and be like, "Hey, do you have this done?" No, okay. Can you do it, please? You know, I get things done. That's what I like to do and make sure everybody's on top of what they need to be done.
Okay. So what type of events are you guys really targeting? Are you targeting any team events like IPTL or something even bigger like something overseas, or are you just mainly focusing on NA only individual tournaments?
Well, I mean, NA is our sole focus. I mean, we're a North American organization, but at the moment we have 4 Koreans. If I get the revenue to get another big name Korean, I mean, I would love to compete in like GSTL or something. All
right, talk to me about the value for your team, for your brand, having people play in GSL.
I mean, GSL and even the KESPA leagues, that's just, to me, it's a higher tier of, like, it's a higher tier of competition. So just having a player that's in the GSL gives you more legitimacy. Like, oh, I have a Code S player, or I have a Code A player. It just feels more. It just has more importance.
But does legitimacy equal dollars, though? I guess that's really the question.
I mean, oftentimes, it just depends. I could say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really hard to justify that. I mean, one thing I would really like to do is, like, say if we started competing in the GSTL, it could open up the Korean market to maybe having some sort of Korean sponsors out, like a food company or anything in Korea. So
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, sponsor just Hyun does really well or wins GSL Code S or something, and of course lots of sponsors over there would possibly be interested.
Right, but is it a guarantee? It may not be a guarantee. It's just it opens up more possibilities, more options. So,
John, you were gonna say something?
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, how many sponsors over there would really jump on with an organization that considers themselves a North American organization? Would you? I mean, does that make a lot of sense, or do you think that they would?
I mean, I really can't speak to that, but I guess I'm just hopeful that they might be interested.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. Looking at my topic list here. So the recent news about MLG and the lack of the open bracket. Thoughts on that, and how it kind of might affect your team?
Well, it affects the StarCraft 2 team greatly because we can't send any of our players to MLG. And we have a sponsorship through MLG for NOS, for events, so
you can't send any of your StarCraft 2 players to MLG. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah.
Because there's no open bracket and none of the players were invited, or?
Yeah, well, Ostoji was invited to a show match, which is, I guess if he won, he would have been able to go, but because of school constraints, he had to decline. But we will have a presence. We're going to have the Call of Duty team there at MLG. We just won't have StarCraft 2.
So how much does that piss you off about the format that MLG put out?
I mean, honestly, I was really mad at first when I heard about it, but I mean, they do bring up valid concerns and issues, regarding the game is just going to come out, server issues. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue when they present their case the way they did. So, I think now I'm more understanding of it. And we're going to have to switch our, we wanted to have like a presence at MLG because it's going to be our first tournament. It would have been our first tournament as a StarCraft 2 team, but we have to switch that to IPL 6 now because they have an open bracket for Heart of the Swarm. So.
Oh, okay, so all you guys will be there instead.
Yeah, we're going to go to IPL instead of MLG. So.
So is everybody or
no?
The Ace team or no?
Not even the entire A squad. We're limiting it to 5 to 6 players.
Okay. That's still good. That's still that's good that you'll be at a at a big event or have some presence there. That'll be really, really cool.
Yep. It'll be our our first StarCraft 2 event, but Call of Duty guys
Are you going to roll out new jerseys and everyone kind of walk in together and make a big presence?
We just redesigned the jerseys. We actually Neen is designing the jerseys for us, and I got to see some of the designs today, and they're actually really nice. We're not going to go for the whole like overly red design.
Right.
Red's still going to be a part of it, but it's not going to be like Star Trek, the red shirts.
Star Trek, the red shirt.
Right.
It's just a little too much. It's just too red and too. I don't know. It just needs some variety. I think when it comes to jerseys.
I can just see the intro being like a Ray Lewis intro.
Oh God.
Who's gonna be Ray Lewis on your team, man?
I guess I'll do it.
I was just gonna say Bernie would probably be the better Ray Lewis on that.
Oh man.
Without
get that on video. That's good content right there, man.
And then we can thank you, Chris, for the idea.
Exactly. So Quantic before had a, they kind of had this whole project where they were doing interviews, really high quality interviews.
Right.
Will you be continuing that, or is that part gone away?
That was more. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ian. He's actually branching out and doing that on his own, but the videos are still going to be accessible for us to use. Just throw our pre-rolls on, and put them on our sites and stuff. We have some agreement with him because he's doing it. It's just a hobby to him, but he wants his work seen. So he's going to give it to us, and then we're going to throw it up and kind of like just distribute the content basically.
Okay, well that's still pretty nice.
But the backgrounds aren't going to be like how they had like the whole Quantic backgrounds or whatever. That's not going to be the case because he's got he's got his own organization now. I think he calls it Flaming Cow.
Yeah, Flaming Cows.
You'll hear about it, more of it this week, probably.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know who we're talking about, Ian was one of the quote-unquote Google guys. That was one of the investors for the original Quantic.
All right.
Okay, well, that's cool. At least we'll still see some of those on your all site. Let's see. John, you have a question?
No, not yet.
No, question from John? Oh my gosh, crazy. We've been flying through these, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to go back to something real quick because, and Chris, you and I have talked about this. We've talked about it directly with Mark. And this is, I think, some of the biggest concern, and it was brought up on Reddit and everything. And I'm not trying to be a dick here. I think it needs to be asked is really what is going to make what you guys do this time around different. And I'm not just talking the lineup, because I can't imagine the results are going to be so much greater than they were before that it's going to bring huge eyeballs. And it might. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, you obviously have a very good CSGO team, a very good Call of Duty team, and that will bring a much larger exposure from, obviously from outside of StarCraft 2. But let's talk specifically StarCraft 2. Quantic had a brand, and I think they were initially very good. I mean, it's one of the best logos, and I'm a graphic designer, so I think I can speak on that a little bit. In all of eSports, they position their brand fairly well. But I think, and we've told Mark this straight up, I think personally they failed so flat on the execution of marketing their brand, and I think that worry has come up that this same thing is just going to happen over again, that you're really not going to find creative ways to market the brand enough to continue to pull in sponsors to be able to support the team.
Well, I mean, I guess I have an answer to that is our marketing director, Cody, is also known as Thinker. He is really good at what he does. He actually does marketing for a living for Bank of America. So what he does for us, he's got a team at Bank of America that does what he's doing for us, basically. So he's got a lot of experience. So when it comes to marketing, we're going to rely heavily on his ideas, and the execution is going to come mainly from him because he's got the experience. He's an actual expert, Okay. Like when I did marketing, whenever we did marketing at Check 6 or it's Gosu, none of us have a background in marketing. We're just trying to do our best as we went along. But now we've got Cody, who is really good, and he's been extremely impressive lately, and just executing.
So we're going to see some interesting and creative things coming from Quantic and some definite marketing and branding ideas that are going to be coming out?
Definitely, and like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have the whole event system coming over, so we're going to be hosting events, tournaments, League of Legends, Dota 2. Unfortunately, the StarCraft tournament is a little saturated, but there is room for like smaller, maybe dailies and weekly tournaments, so that's something we might explore.
I'm just curious because I'm an event organizer, but where the hell are you getting this league and bracket system from? Are you guys developing it yourself?
Yeah,
That's a huge undertaking.
No, we already have it.
They already have it, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the It's Ghost site. We're just transferring over to the Quantic site.
Okay.
Yeah, the owner, he coded it all himself. Him and his like cousin or somebody. They're really good at producing website stuff.
So from a standpoint of sponsor acquisition, right? Is your approach mainly for you're trying to get your players to have results, or is there kind of a plan a little bit similar to what you were talking about with blogging more and making these guys personalities? Because right now, again, like on your roster, the only person I see as personality is Jeff from Maximus, right?
Right, Jeff.
And which we can talk about in a second, just kind of what we're probably going to be doing with him. But are there any other guys that you think have really standout personalities that you guys are going to try to feature?
Yeah, I would definitely think Hwangsin and Hyun have really good personalities, and then there's Ostoji, who's really popular, North American Zerg. So we really want to work on him. There's Glon and obviously Poke Bunny, all have followings. So we really want to focus on them primarily, and and helping out the academy players come up.
Okay, so I guess your strategy is mostly trying to get some results. And
results are going to be important. I mean, we're not going to get all the players to be personalities like Jeff. He's really popular. But I mean, if we can get them to a quarter of what he's at, I mean, I think that's still a win.
So talk to me are you going to do any special projects with Maximus Black? Or Maximus, well, actually, what is it officially now? It was
I think he changed his name to a symbol.
Yeah, Maximus Black, we can just call him that. He'll probably be known as QuanticBlack again because the Quantic name is just so large that on Battle.net you can't fit enough characters for that.
Right. Got it.
I mean, he's been really busy lately, so I mean, there's always projects that I can come up with and present to him to see if he's interested, but he's really busy, and at the moment he's not even available. He's in Cuba on vacation, so...
Okay, so that brings up a good point. I mean, is there anything you're going to make him do as a team member versus just asking him to do? Because...
Well, I mean, anything that we would want to make him do, he kind of already does on his own. I mean, it's not like we need to be like, oh, hey, Jeff, can you stream? It's like...
Well, and I've worked with Jeff in the past, and I guess the question is, how are you going to connect the dots between what he is doing and the Quantic brand, more specifically? I mean, how are you going to get him to do that? And personally, I think where Chris is going is I would lay out very specific things that need to be done, and then of course you're dealing with Maximus Black, who definitely has his own thing. He has his own style. But how are you going to connect those dots?
Okay, so I'm trying to get a grasp of the question here. So you're saying how are we going to utilize him to our benefit?
Yeah, more specifically, I mean, he does his own things, just like you just said. I mean, he does his own things, and he's very good at it. But how are you going to get what he does to be connected directly with what Quantic is trying to do?
Well, I mean... he's got a really loyal following of fans, and anywhere you go, they're instantly fans of the organization. So I think we want to go ahead and capitalize on that. I mean, when we were on It's Gosu, we didn't have any merchandise, and the Maximus Black fans were always going, "Hey, when can we buy an It's Gosu shirt? When can we buy a jersey? Is it available?"
There's no doubt that the Maximus Black fans, in my opinion, are probably some of the most giving. I don't know if that's the right word. But, I mean,
yeah.
you know, when I was at CSN, we ran the Kickstarter program to get Maximus Black to QuakeCon, and they were very, very accommodating as far as supporting him. And so I guess again that goes back to how you said, well, they will follow the brand and they'll follow Quantic, but I think there has to be a better way to utilize him to really pull people to the Quantic name. I mean, other than just wearing a jersey and occasionally saying, hey, check out the Quantic gear. So again, my question is, do you have any creative ideas on how to better connect those dots?
Well, I guess Cody actually just told me that we plan to use him the way EG uses Idra. So obviously he has some plans. Like I said, he's our marketing guy.
Okay.
If we want to talk about that, maybe we should have him come on the show and maybe explain.
Wait. Let me get this straight. So you're gonna have Jeff go and give stone cold stares.
No, he can do the troll stare that he does into the camera. Have you ever seen him do that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Maybe
okay.
we can modify it. And
I would think Cody would have said we're gonna have him do more what Jeff In Control does versus what Idra does. So
I don't know. It sounds like he's got a plan for Jeff. So I mean, like I said, I trust Cody.
So you're basically going to turn him into an angry black man.
Yeah, pretty much.
An angry white man.
We're just going to make him play that game. I Want to Be the Guy. Have you guys ever seen that game? That's really frustrating.
No.
Oh, you should.
I Want to Be the Guy. I'll have to Google that.
I Want to Be the Guy, or I Want to Be the Boshi. It's this game that's ridiculous. You have to jump around, and there's always spikes, and even when you think that you've cleared a certain area, you get there and then something randomly kills you and you got to start all over again.
Oh, gosh.
And
okay.
If you go watch Jeff stream the VODs on that, he rages hardcore.
So that's what you want. The raging part is what you're talking about. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah, it's an insane game. The creators, whoever developed the game, just for the purpose of making players rage. That's pretty much what the game's for.
Right, got it.
Okay.
So League of Legends. So you mentioned just a little bit of League of Legends when we first started off.
Right.
Is there any plans to start looking for a team, recruiting a team, or is that way down the road?
No, prior to the announcement, we were looking for a League of Legends team, specifically a Season 3 qualified team, because there's a lot of benefits that go with having a Season 3 team. It proved a little more expensive than what we're really comfortable with, but so we might wait till mid-season because the bottom 4 teams are going to have to requalify. So it doesn't necessarily mean, okay, so now we have a Season 3 team, mid-season, they might not requalify. A new team might emerge. So we're trying to figure out to see who the teams that are up and coming that could potentially get into Season 3 mid-season. So we're trying to find the team before they become too expensive, basically.
So did y'all try to basically re-get Orbits? I mean, the previous Quantic? Okay.
No. They didn't qualify for Season 3.
Yeah, that's true, too. They didn't qualify.
We talked to a lot of other teams, but it was pretty difficult.
Any interest in Dota, too?
Yes, lots of interest in Dota. But another thing is that game is really expensive.
The game is really expensive?
Well, having a team is expensive.
Oh,
okay.
Why is that? Why is it any more expensive? Just because the publisher's not paying for anything?
It's a 5-player team. I mean, a 5-player game. So when you send players to an event, you can't just send one player. You have to send the entire team. So just travel costs, and when you pay salaries, you're paying 5 salaries. That's the thing about League of Legends with Riot is Riot's paying salaries and travel and house stipends and all that for the Season 3 qualified team. So that's really good.
And the teams are still asking for some more money, though.
Yeah, that's the part that bugs me. Teams are still asking for more money, even though they're going to get paid by Riot.
Right, because the way the teams see our organizations are as sponsors. They see as... So we have to pay them for them to represent us. Basically, that's at least that's what I've been taken away from when we've been talking to some of these teams. And a lot of them think that they don't need bigger organizations. They think they can go out there and do it all themselves, which, I mean, I can see that feeling from them, but they need to be focusing on the game, on performing, on practicing, not going out and trying to land sponsors. So that's what we're here for, you know. You guys play the game, represent us, and we'll get sponsors out of, you know, and everybody benefits from that.
Right. So who is the guy on y'all's team looking for partnerships and sponsors? Who's the main guy for that?
Cody.
Cody is, okay. So
yeah,
Cody's
he's the
doing
director,
marketing and doing that. Okay, got it.
Yeah. I mean, marketing and going out to sponsors kind of go hand in hand, so.
Kind of, but yeah, they can. I guess they can. That's true. All right.
So Bernie, real quick. Let's say 5 months from now, where do you see Quantic?
5 months from now?
Sure.
Fully sustainable, like a fully sustainable team. So I'm actually going for more sponsorship-driven team than investor. And sure, we have investors in the form of like the owners. You know, they all invest money. So what I want to do 5 months from now, I want to have enough sponsors signed to where all their monthly contribution we're banking up. So we're throwing that in the bank. So they're still going to be contributing what they're contributing now, just in case a sponsor drops out.
So you're going to so the investors are still going to invest. I mean,
we're not going to use the money though. So
okay.
So say we're getting, okay, I'm just going to throw this off. We're getting 80 grand a year. That's our revenue or whatever. And our investors can match that. So 160. I'm only going to use that 80. And then we're going to bank up the rest.
You don't think that it's like money burning a hole in your pocket. If the opportunity is there, and this may have been another one of the problems that Quantic ran into, is that they just got too large too fast.
Right.
Because they had it at their disposal. You know, they had the money there. I mean, granted, it was mostly private investment, but, you know, it was like, hey, guys, let's try this. Well, this is going to cost this amount of money. Okay, well, let's try it. But you're saying, I mean, and it makes sense. You know, 5 months from now, you definitely want to be at a position where you're not having to use the investors' money.
Right, just because it's available doesn't mean we should just go out and spend it, you know? I think...
Well, so
I mean, right now, I can pick up another big Korean player, but I'm not going to do it until I get more solid backing from sponsors. I can go out and pick up another player right now. It's on the table, but I'm not going to. You know, I need to be careful.
Okay.
I mean, I can't speak for the former Quantic, but I can pretty much... I mean, I can confidently say they would pick this player up.
So
just from the past behaviors.
So that kind of model of investment is kind of interesting. I kind of want to ask you some more about that.
Sure.
It sounds like the investors are going to regularly, you know, continue to contribute,
right,
you know, to the team. Whether you spend it or not is really dependent upon, I guess, opportunity. Why not just... So, you know, I think what a lot of folks do is that the investors just don't contribute regularly. They just, you know, contribute what they need, and then that's it, right? So whenever let's just say, you know, you are spending, you're perfectly even with expenses and revenue, and you know, some amazing player becomes available, and there's opportunity to pick him up, and because, you know, you guys don't have extra cash, you know, in the bank, then, you know, you guys would contribute at that point, right? Everybody would just contribute whatever percentage, you know, you work it out, right? You just contribute whatever money to get that player. Why not do that? I mean, versus having money in the bank that sits there and does nothing. I mean,
well, I mean, then, well, we need a budget, right? So if people just contribute whenever it's needed, it's hard to budget that way. So if we get monthly, like, contributions, like minimum contributions from the investors, then we can throw that in the budget and be like, okay, it's there, but then it's up to us to spend it or not. Which I don't really like to spend a lot of money if I don't have to. So
I guess the scenario that I presented is that just like never going to happen then? You know, like you're always going to stay within the budget of this regular influx of, you know, cash from the investors, and then if you don't have it, then you can't buy that player.
If you don't have it, you can go talk to a sponsor and pitch them the player and what the benefits would be.
Right, but amongst the investors, just no more money, like except for this X amount of money we give per month.
Right.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because, I mean, if you're always demanding more of the investors, people are going to tire. I mean, you've seen that. I mean, perfect example is the Google guys were spending an enormous amount of money. And then they just got tired of it. There's lots of teams that have died in the past that did the same thing.
Right. No, it's interesting. It's more of a, you know, more of a process than it is, I guess. You know, like you said. I mean, if you come up with this kind of parameters right now, then you know you won't have these times where an investor doesn't want to invest while the others do want to invest, and then you have to talk about, you know, mixing and matching ownership and shares and crap like that, right?
Right.
So no, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's different. I don't think a lot of people do that. Like a lot of other teams do that sort of thing. So that's cool. That's cool. Why don't we take some questions? You guys ready for some Q&A?
Sure.
All you viewers too. Why don't you go ahead and start calling ChanmanV on Skype, and I will start taking calls. So that's kind of what we do. And we'll pull you on here, and you can ask Bernie, myself, or John whatever you want. It doesn't have to be about Quantic. It could be about what's our favorite dessert. Let's see. Kurt V. Oh boy. No, I don't think Kurt will be calling today, guys. All right, I don't think he will be. So, but. Let's see. Anybody else have questions?
You can ask questions in the
you can ask questions in the stream chat too.
I'll find it.
Yeah. Ask questions in the stream chat too. We will read them off if you don't want to actually get on and talk about it.
Come on
okay,
now,
so Bashnik said if they're still pumping money into the team when it's sustainable from sponsors, when will they see a return on that investment, or is this a permanent money sink? That's the typical question. Typical team question. All right, we got Skylar Riviera here. Let's see, what is he asking? Oh, actually, he's going to type it out. Okay, we got Jonathan Taylor here. Let me pull on Jonathan. I always, darn it, these things never get set properly. Jonathan, here we go. He's got a Gandalf picture. I love seeing the Skype pictures, man. Pretty cool. Yo, Jonathan, what's up? Hello?
I love Lord of the Rings, man.
I do too, man.
I've got a question for Fujikura.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Alright, I was just wondering if maybe you suck my dick.
Oh, that was nice. I can see that one coming.
This is the problem with taking phone calls.
Nice.
John, does this ever happen, man? It's
No.
only Fuji, man. Fuji.
That was a really bad troll.
Yeah, but I can't cut the guy off even if I just, it'd be I know Quin's a real one though.
Yep.
Quinn, what's up, man?
Hey, I have a question for Bernie. It might seem rude, Bernie, but you said that picking up a LoL team, as you already pointed out, obviously they get paid by Riot just for qualifying to Season 3. Right. But you said that you don't want to pick up you want to pick up a LoL team, but you don't want to pay them a salary because they're already getting sponsored.
No, I didn't say that.
No, I mentioned that. I'm sorry. I mentioned that I didn't understand that whole point. But I mean, he did say that. He said that they were going to obviously ask for more on top of that.
Yeah.
Right, I didn't say we weren't going to pay him extra.
Oh, sorry, that kind of killed my question then.
Thanks,
I
guys.
I misheard you.
It wasn't a troll question. It was a good question.
Alright, yeah, but I can take part of it if you want to, or you can just take someone else.
No, go for it.
Well, the main question was, you say, but how much are you willing to to put on then? I know you can't say how much cash, but if they go out there without a sponsor, Reddit or the community generally what do you call it, the underdogs, don't you think they might actually gain more from just taking the Riot money and then going out there on their own, maybe hoping to pick up like a huge sponsor such as SteelSeries or Razer? Do you think that, well, as you mentioned, that it's important for them to just focus on the game and that you do the business part?
I mean, yeah, obviously, for example, I guess you can take the former Quantic team as an example, Orbit. They were so focused on other things, as far as Mark was saying, is they were focusing on trying to get sponsors, and they weren't practicing enough. So as a result, I mean, you could attribute it to that's why they didn't qualify for Season 3, is they were too busy focusing on other aspects, not the game. I hope that, I'm not sure if that answers.
Yeah, that's not to say that, you know, the teams couldn't work with agencies and
right,
you know, different management organizations that would do this work, and it doesn't have to be teams, right? There's kind of two options right now.
Right.
Yeah, and that's all I had. Sorry, I misheard you, so my main question kind of got killed.
No problem.
No, that's great.
Thanks for calling in, bud. All right, let's get Skylar Rivera here. Hey, Skylar, what's up?
Not much. I just want to ask this question, if it's possible.
Okay, sure. Go for it.
All right, do you guys feel it is a possibility that cell phone games and tablet apps will be the future of esports coming up soon?
Well, Chris is the perfect person to ask that question to.
Well, I think can you
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You might want to turn off your stream volume.
And this is a real question, actually. This is not a troll for those in the chat.
So I think John and I actually differ a little bit on this, but for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, so I actually make mobile apps and mobile games for a living. So, and I've thought about the whole competitive side of it, and even talked to IPL about it at one point. But for me, the thing about mobile gaming is I don't feel like there's necessarily a huge play for the live side of it. I think competitive mobile gaming, absolutely, there's a space for it. You know, whether it's like this just general leaderboard over a certain amount of time, prize money, whether it's, you know, just something that's more remote and more, you know, not at one of these big events, because this is what I see at a big event. Two people going there playing Bejeweled against each other, and it just looks like two guys at CES at the Samsung booth, you know, just looking at phones. I mean, it's
how is that any different, Chris, than two people playing StarCraft together? It's if you put it up on the big screen.
No, I know what you mean, but it's just, and there's not much to cast. Like, there's not much to talk about whenever you're talking about these.
Well, not
these
Bejeweled Blitz. It's like, move this. Oh, did you just see him make a four row or something? I can understand. There probably wouldn't be too much to cast on that.
Well, I mean, so if we're talking about more complex games like Call of Duty on the phone, then why not just play Call of Duty on the Xbox? You know, we're talking about simpler games. I mean, there's
games out there on the market, like for example, you have like racing games that are very popular, especially on the handheld devices.
Sure. And
like with SteelSeries and Razer both developing like, you know, knobs to put on your cell phone, I feel like it's a very big possibility that in the future that in esports especially, that you'll have qualifiers possibly on your cell phone, on your device, because it's so accessible. You know, I feel like everybody with a screen device of any kind, be it a cell phone, tablet, they all have games on it. You know, I mean,
yeah, but you see, the biggest play for me is it's not so much that the actual platform or device is a mobile phone versus an Xbox versus a PC. Mm-hmm. It's not that. It's really the marketability of the publisher, like the maker of the game, and having, like, for me, like, imagine a contest, I don't know, let's say a month-long contest for just one of the simple games. It doesn't even matter what it is, like Bejeweled Blitz again. And, you know, just anybody in the world, anybody that plays this game, we're talking about millions and billions of people, right, play this game, can enter in, can be a competitor for this event, and can win. So, like, John's son can play, my son can even play. It doesn't have to be restricted to these certain players, you know what I mean? I feel like that is something that's compelling and possible and makes sense to publishers, versus like these live events where, you know, honestly, guys, like these 10,000 people that show up there, you know, maybe you stream to another 50,000. That's nothing, man. In the mobile industry, that is nothing. Okay, I mean, you have such a wider, broader reach of people in the mobile industry. So
right, and it may not. And I agree with Chris on that. I don't think initially jumping into esports is going to come from these developers. I play a game online called Zookeeper. It's like a souped up Bejeweled Blitz multiplayer. But I think you will see, and IPL's talked about it before, and even MLG has actually done it before, where you will see mobile gaming competitions. I mean, shoot, we did things similar to that back at GGL. I think you will see some of those things at live events. How it will all play out, I don't know. I still think you'll see like a StarCraft 2 type game that will be played on touchscreen, and it will just all be. There'll be a
MOBA. There will be a MOBA. I promise you that. Like there will be a MOBA sometime in the near future on the touchpads or on the phone, because it's easily done. I mean, you can definitely do that.
So I think you'll see a lot more of it, but I don't think it will come directly from the developers, because I think, as Chris was pointing out, there's millions of people playing Bejeweled Blitz right now, and putting, having some sort of live event where there's only, maybe 3,000 playing it over the weekend or something is just small. It's small.
You have to remember, WCG's done, Adrenaline, right? Like Asphalt Adrenaline, and I didn't no success there, right? For the most part. And MLG they have a partnership with Sony, so they did, I think, one online thing. It wasn't the same thing, because the game that they were playing cost money to actually play, to even play. So it's not as popular because it's a paid app or paid game. So there's a lot of little details that haven't been done quite right yet to really have a use case. But yeah, hopefully soon though, Skylar, we'll see something. But all right, thanks for your question, bud.
I had a question from chat while you were lining up someone else. First of all, everyone's complaining that they can't call you because you have to accept their contact, but apparently they can call without you.
You can call without it, guys. I've been taking calls from people that aren't in my contacts. So.
SC2 Exposure asks, are you willing to pay a player, and I think this is probably directed more towards Bernie, but are you willing to pay a player who's really good at a game that is not quite at the same level as the top tier esports? For instance, if there's a really good Smite team, and Smite is obviously not at this point being played out at IPLs and MLGs, but if you came across a really good team in a game that's not quite at the top tier, would you ever consider them?
I mean, we can definitely consider a team, but I mean, I guess it would just depend on how much it would cost. It all comes down to cost and exposure. So obviously, if the game is not top tier, it limits the amount of exposure, which in turn limits the amount of money you can actually pay the team, right? So.
Right.
All right, let's get Jonathan Taylor on here. He's been calling a lot.
Thanks. Hey, right? So.
Hey, Jonathan, what's up? Hey, welcome to Climbing the Ladder. You got a question?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
I have a question for John Clark on the Zookeeper topic.
Sure.
Okay, sure. He loves Zookeeper. You're a perfect person.
That was rated 2,000th in the world, which is really good because there's 800,000 people playing it.
I was just wondering if any of the animals ever tickled your bollocks?
Twice last week, actually.
Thanks, man. It's the same guy. Why am I such a bozo? I mean, that's like the same guy. Like that.
If you just play along, it's not really a troll, so it doesn't bother me one bit. Yeah. But I do like that he called it the bollocks.
It's the same guy that called last week with TV, man. I just forgot.
You may have to block him from now on.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? I have a quick question for all of you guys. Oh, 1 second. All
right.
I have a quick question for you guys, asking where do you guys see StarCraft or esports in general in the next year and a half? Because as we saw with StarCraft, it was huge, and then all of a sudden it started to decay. Do you think we're going to see that with League of Legends and other kind of sports, or esports rather?
Who wants to start?
Bernie, why don't you start, bud?
So this is geared towards esports in general, right? Not just StarCraft.
Sure, yeah.
The reason I think that StarCraft has actually declined is because it's a harder game to play. League of Legends is actually more of a casual game. It's more fun. So when you play StarCraft 2 and you lose over and over and over again, it can be really like demoralizing to players. So I think that's one of the reasons StarCraft 2 is taking such a hit, and that's why League of Legends is doing so well, is because it's more of a casual game. So I don't think League of Legends is going to see as big of a hit as StarCraft, if any at all. I think it's just going to stay popular.
What do you think, John?
I can agree with a lot of what Bernie said. I mean, and we all know that just games come and go. We don't know that. I mean, it seriously could be next year, and somebody announces some MOBA that or MOBA or RTS that catches fire, and it utilizes a little bit of what StarCraft 2 had to offer and what League of Legends has to offer. I got the sense, and I had this feeling too, that StarCraft 2 is just losing a little bit of its luster. If that's the right word. And I think the numbers do show, a number of daily tournaments have gone down. But I think overall, it may not have declined as much as maybe we even felt like it did. We were just a little butthurt that League of Legends was getting so big. And I think that gave us the impression that StarCraft 2 wasn't quite doing as well. I think with HOTS, we'll see... we'll kind of get that feeling back again, like, hey, this is for real. But I think the game itself is good enough that it's going to last for quite some time. But we may not ever get back to a point where it's like the top dog, and that's okay. It doesn't make it any less of an esport. And I know I talk about it every week, but Quake Live is definitely no less of an esport than any of those games, but it's still around and people still play it, and I think it's still important to the entire esports scene. So it just may not feel like it's at the top, but I think we'll see StarCraft 2 for quite some time.
Definitely. And how long did Brood War last? Was that 8 years?
No,
that's a question.
I think it was
10 years.
It was around like 10, 12, right?
It's I think it's at 12 at this point. It's at 12 at this point.
12. Do you guys think HOTS as an expansion will survive that long? Because really, what have they really added to HOTS that's so different from Brood?
Boy! You just opened a can of worms.
HOTS isn't the last one. I mean, there's going to be 2 more expansions, right? I mean, Brood War was basically the last StarCraft expansion. So
yeah, there's only one expansion though.
Yeah, so this is the first expansion, which is kind of like the first expansion of StarCraft way back when. So we'll see what happens in Legacy of the Void, a couple expansions from now. And then we'll kind of maybe judge it against Brood War. But I think there's no point in judging against Brood War. It's completely different. And for me, I think League of Legends, I kind of disagree with y'all. I think it will degrade just like every other game degrades over time. It's just much slower because it's much more casual. Riot's doing has very, very good models, that they just
especially
engagement models.
Esports.
It's like if you're talking about engagement models, right? Keeping them engaged and retention. They've done really good things to really slow that down, but it's going to eventually come down. And Dota 2 launching will be competition. Blizzard All Stars will be competition, and eventually it'll sunset a little bit too. Not sunset, but it'll decline too and get to this, this kind of equilibrium point. And then something else will come along, something new, something that might be the golden game that's perfect for esports.
Full virtual reality type.
I don't know what it is, but I still don't believe League of Legends or anything out there is like the game yet that is really going to just propel esports to something, just the stratosphere. So
I disagree a little. I don't care what it is. I don't think the game is what's going to propel us. I think we have a lot of work to do on the underbelly of it.
Sure. I agree too. But
we could have the greatest game in the world, but again, that's subjective because what's great for you. I mean, I can't play League of Legends to save my life. I can't even watch it. It's like watching lollipops and rainbows and Skittles.
I agree with you there.
Well,
but it doesn't make any less of a game. It's just, again, I think it's the underbelly that we have a lot of work to do, and once we get that, I think esports will grow a lot. Obviously, the games help. League of Legends has obviously helped. So, and same with StarCraft 2.
You've heard my idea, John, about it. I think there needs to be a game that has a simple version and an advanced version. The advanced version maybe being like the PC version, and a simple version being a mobile version. And I think
the console version.
Well, I don't know, but just that title, I think that kind of model might actually have a chance for wide acceptance. So all right, thanks for your question, buddy.
All right, thanks a lot for having me.
Yep, no problem. All right, let's see, we got a lot of time today. Jojo's a regular.
Yeah, hi guys, how are you doing?
Hey, good. What's up, man?
Okay, my first question, let's put it this way, is geared towards Bernie. I asked a similar question last week to Total Biscuit. It's all about running a team. What do you think is the most challenging part? And what do you think is the easiest part about running a team? Or what is something you really look forward to? And are there any places where you feel really lost in this whole process?
The hardest part is, I guess, just establishing, well, I guess in Quantic is reestablishing the brand, building a fan base. The easier parts would be just playing the game, competing. And can you repeat the last part again? What was
Okay, yeah. So no, it's pretty much just about what is the biggest obstacle in your way. So what do you think is the hardest thing to tackle, and what is the easiest part about this, or the part you look forward to most?
I can say the thing I look forward to the most is helping players, because they're obviously the talent. So helping them achieve what they're looking for is what I look forward to the most. Is just rewarding players and helping them build their careers, and in turn having mutual success. So.
All right, cool. And actually, there was another part. Sorry.
Sure.
And that was about: do you ever feel lost in this entire process? Do you ever feel like you need someone? I don't know. Any help in this entire process? I mean, it's a big kind of approach now with Quantic restarting this whole project. It has not worked before. Do you ever wish you need more support or anything like that?
Well, I mean, yeah, we always need more support, but I guess maybe to ask your question for you is if there was maybe some sort of training manual that I can go reference to and be like, okay, this is the problem I'm having. Sure, I would love to have something like that. If that might be something.
All right, so how much would you pay for a training manual on how to build a team?
Oh, I would just go on Pirate Bay and torrent it, bro.
Oh, God. You bastard. All right, thanks for your question, Jojo.
All right.
All right. Let's see. We got one last one. I think Q wants to call in again, but let's take this one. He might be the guy that's been complaining about me not adding him.
Oh, Scoot says he's got a manual for sale next week.
$8.95.
I mean,
I get him doing now.
That's not bad.
He's doing consulting.
Yeah, he's going to add it to the Twitch Turbo offering.
Real quick question for you while you're waiting.
Okay.
Ocean-sized DI wants to know what your favorite dessert is.
Dude, my favorite, I've eaten so many desserts in my life, and still the most basic thing is still my favorite, which is just chocolate ice cream. Believe it or not. There's just something... I have a physical effect to chocolate ice cream. There's something very
is that an Asian thing or?
No. It's like a stress reliever. It's weird. But you can ask my wife. It's just she bakes a ton of stuff. My wife's actually a really great baker, and I eat all that stuff, but nothing's the same. It's just chocolate ice cream. It's the weirdest thing. How about you guys? What are y'all's favorite desserts?
Mine is ice cream, chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry, and that's pretty much it. None of the crazy stuff.
I like root beer floats.
Root beer floats are good. Yeah. Root beer floats are definitely good.
Okay, sorry, I'm writing down some questions.
Oh, God. Okay, you have a question? You have more questions written down?
Yeah, hold on. Let me get his name. May J.Y.Un. Please excuse me, I have no clue how to say that.
I should have read
in
that.
the chat. He's wondering So he's making the point that in Korea, Brood War was huge at its peak, possibly 25 million players. Wondering, do you feel as if StarCraft, at this point, will ever get to be that big?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
My answer is no. We don't have the structure in place or the regional growth. And I think by the time that came along, StarCraft 2 will move on to something else, or we will move on to something else. I just can't see it being that big. I mean, we're talking 25 million. That's Farmville numbers. That's a lot of people you'd have to reach out to.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right about that. There's just more competition nowadays. But all right, let's wait. I get some questions here. Okay.
I do have a question if you're ready.
All right, go for it.
I got to pick one. Well, actually, Michael wants to call in.
Yeah, all right, I'll pull Michael.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Tort wants to call in. I'll let him call in.
He PM'd me, said he had a tough question for me, so.
He has 5 questions
So
for you.
Sundance just tweeted something.
Uh-oh.
Says, with an IGN restructure undoubtedly inbound after the ZD purchase, I just want to say that MLG is hiring digital salespeople.
Oh,
No.
God. Nice. Well, Michael just went offline. What the heck? All right.
He didn't want to ask this question, I guess.
Guess not. Let me see. We still got time, so I think Q1 wanted to ask, Quinn or whatever wanted to ask another one. Is that right? Let me see. Yeah, he wants to ask another one.
Yeah, I couldn't leave with such a bad question. That was embarrassing.
It's okay. All right, take 2. Take 2.
Yeah, take 2 is... Alright, if this is a quick one, because other people want to call in. So you can just... you don't need to answer why, you just answer the game and that's it. What is the next game you want to see making it in the esports scene?
Next game.
Well, for me, I'd love to see a first-person shooter of some sort.
Yeah, I think I'd have to... I don't mind first-person shooters, but I think I'd have to say it would probably be good for esports if a first-person shooter, had a lot of success in the near future.
What about some sort of like MMORPG with some sort of competitive twist to it? Kind of like the Blizzard Arena or whatever the World of Warcraft thing that they used to do.
But if it's been done already and it's not, a major esport, then maybe that's not a model that will work. But it very well could. I mean, of course, I'm saying that, and FPS was the epitome of esports at one point, and for me, I'd love to see it come back. I think, personally, any game can be an esport, and we've already seen this. World of Tanks is considered an esport. But for me, my definition of an esport is any electronic game that's competitive. So it could be Yahoo Pool, World of Tanks, League of Legends, or StarCraft 2, it doesn't matter. But whether it makes it to what we call the main stage, I really think that's going to depend on a lot of different things, including the developers' interest and their support, the community, which is... We keep overlooking how important the community is and the improvements that they make to the game and the community and the structure. So it's hard to say which one will be, but I think any game can get to that point. It just takes a lot of little different elements to get it there.
Yeah, and the thing about World of Warcraft is that's kind of hard because you have to remove all the grind. Like in an MMO, there's always going to be farming because you need people coming back because they have to pay monthly. So if you want to do something competitive, I don't really think you can have a grind. Like there isn't really a grind in StarCraft, there isn't really a grind in... Well, there's a grind in League of Legends because you need to reach level 30 to be able to queue rank.
For me, that's not the biggest... The biggest benefit for me with having like a really popular MMO or any popular game become popular in esports is just really the reach, right? I mean, the thing that we talk about League of Legends is that they have like 13, 14, whatever, 15 million users that you can try and acquire, right, to esports. So it's the same deal. When World of Warcraft was trying it, right, it's the biggest gain was because you had all these people playing World of Warcraft, so they understand what you're showing them, and it's that that kind of coherency, right? That's needed for you to even have a chance of acquiring them. So yeah.
Yep.
So I think console shooter, I say console shooter MMO or something like that would be great. But all right, Quinn, thanks, man. Okay, let's take one more, guys, and actually, Poke Bunny's calling too. We'll take Mike first, and then we'll.
Hello.
Hey, Mike. What's up?
Hi. I got like 5 questions, but I don't know how many you guys can take.
We'll take 2.
We'll take two. Two. All right.
Pick your best.
Okay. I asked Fuji this like a while ago, but then I dropped it. But I'll ask again. So I missed most of the show, so tell me if this is kind of redundant here. But my first one is, what are some of your backup approaches towards making a profitable team? I mean, Mark told us about his ways to become profitable through merchandising, media, and events, expecting sort of the operation to be 100% revenue powered. And to me, it doesn't really sound that reasonable at all, especially when we hear like EG and TL not sort of making most of their money through merchandising. I mean, as far as I know, I could be wrong there. So, I mean, without the same sort of namesake or reputation as they have, how will Quantic sort of remain afloat in the long run?
Well, I mean, as far as merchandising, it's not like we're going to fund the entire team off merchandising. Obviously, it's going to help. So it's not like we're really depending on it. It's just going to be like an alternate form of revenue, pretty much. Right. And actually, everything you said, I did talk about in the
No! Okay, it doesn't count then.
It doesn't count.
He did
mention earlier, and he reiterated a lot of what you just said, actually.
Oh, really?
That's going to be their approaches. And again, this has been brought up that's the concern, is that they're basically going to just try the same thing over again, and it's not going to work. But I believe those things can work. It's just going to take creative people and hardworking people, and we'll just see what happens.
A lot of video production, right. Can I do a second question?
Yeah.
Go for it. All
right. Well, that one kind of blew up, didn't it? I wrote, although a lot of teams are thinning, both within ESF and across the board, how do you plan to compete with teams like EG and Team Liquid? Are these teams you sort of aim to idolize or compete with their methodology, or do you sort of have your own sort of idea of how to approach it? Or is this also sort of a redundant question?
Well, I mean, you can't really try and compete with them. It'd be like, I mean, you just have to do your best. But we can't go and be like, we're gunning for UEG. That's not the correct way to go about it, because, I mean, you can just take I'll just use fast food as an example. You'll have a McDonald's right next to a Burger King, right? So it's not like obviously they're competitors, but I don't see them trying to crush each other. So, I mean, just take that same approach. There's no reason why we can't all be friends, right?
Right. Yeah. Gix actually talked about a bit of how, unless you're sort of with EG or TL, you can't really become a programmer with an NA. Do you kind of agree with that?
No, I disagree with that. Look at Major, for example. He's on a Kespa team now. He was never with EG or TL, right? He's a good example of actually the opposite of what Gix said. So
I guess so.
All right, Mike. I'll give you one more.
Sweet. Jeez. I had them all lined up too. Okay, I'll ask kind of a annoying one, I guess. My fifth one would be Fuji being, you were a player manager on Check 6. I think we met on Check 6 as well. And you were on It's Goes To before. And now you're sort of COO, right?
Yes.
So I'm sure you understand the importance of player managing. But you also talked about how, to me, you were talking about how you're looking for a player manager purely on a volunteering basis. Do you really think that's sort of the smartest move with such a large roster?
Well, I mean, I've always been a volunteer player manager. I've never been paid, so I mean, it's an opportunity to teach somebody what I know, and hopefully they can.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, and this is one of the problems is that, and I've said this in other interviews, is that you're going to get what you pay for, in a lot of ways, and it doesn't necessarily mean somebody's not going to do a fantastic job. And I mean, most of us in esports have all started off not making a dime doing what we have passion for, but at this point, the space is growing, and there are more people involved. More people that are in the space that do have experience, and some are asking for money, and others obviously still want to do it. Just whatever they can get their foot in the door. But again, you may end up having to cycle through 4 or 5 people because on a volunteer basis before you get to somebody that can do it, and then at that point, you're probably paying for it.
I know for Knots, the player manager was being paid a bit, and I think he got a bit of benefits to do there, but I don't know why you guys didn't carry him through.
I'd also like to answer what Scoots is talking about. I mean, as far as me needing a manager, it's actually for the academy program.
Right.
As far as the main squad, I'm going to be taking care of that, so I will be taking care of my most important assets.
You're not getting paid, Bernie. You're not getting paid. So.
I'm not getting paid.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Cheers.
Right, I think that's gonna be it for.
Yeah, I just need help. I'm not gonna be giving like all the other responsibilities to somebody that's just coming on a voluntary basis.
Right.
You're looking to bring someone on that can kind of be your right hand man in helping you mold the academy more so than the A team.
Right. I need somebody to schedule clan wars, to just make sure the guys, hey, can you go see if Pokemon got his guide ready? Can you proofread it before I see it, and then I'll proofread it and send it off to an editor or something. It's just like the little
manager,
like an internship for somebody who wants to get involved in esports. So this is a good opportunity, and I'm going to be the first to, we've talked again. I mean, there's that fine line between when you can start asking for, for somebody to pay you for your time, but this is a great opportunity. If someone does want to get involved, this would be one of those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bernie, I think we'll wrap this up. Appreciate you coming on and being straightforward with everything. All the questions we had a ton of questions for you. So, we definitely wish you the best of luck with new Quantic, and look forward to seeing the website once it gets relaunched here. And how many more days? How many more days now?
I think it's at 12 now. I'd have to go to the site and see. Okay. But I mean, with coding sites, and you would know, Chris, sometimes you have a date set and something goes wrong, so it could be. It could be
what do you mean? You just launch it. Shit goes wrong. You just fix it as it goes. I mean, that's it's all about. These days, it's a lot different than it used to be. It used to be, man, make sure it works and shit before you launch it. Now, just launch it, man, and then fix it as you go.
I guess I never really got a chance to answer the first troll question. My answer to that guy is no. I will not.
Nice. All right, let's do some shout-outs. Bernie, you want to start?
I'd like to give you a shout-out, Chris and John. Thank you for having me on the show. Like to shout out to our sponsors, Neen, Twitch, Scuff Gaming, NOS. Those are the only ones I can actually.
And all of the others that you're working on.
And all of the napkin handshakes you've had.
You guys didn't sign with us. You missed out. So you gotta get on the train now.
There you go. See, gotta make a video of that. John, you got any shout outs?
Yeah, I would, but my phone's ringing, so just hold on one second.
I have a request for a shout out. I would like to shout out to my friend Shinya. I really like the guy. And to our old Brood War team, So Gaming. Now he's happy.
Okay.
Hey, is Jean-Kun still working with you guys?
Oh, she's not.
Oh, she's not. Oh, okay. That's too bad.
Is she going to another team, or is she just not doing that right now?
I don't know what her future plans.
Okay.
Cool.
She's been missing in action for like 2 months now. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
John, shout outs.
Shout outs to all those in stream, especially the old crazy dude, Mr. Scoots. Always keeping us on our toes.
Exactly, of course.
No, really. I mean,
no, that's good. It's good.
Chat. It's good. We're gonna get him on the show.
Yeah, we'll definitely have him on. I think he's on Real Talk next week, so gotta space it out. We can't have too much Scoots here. Get too much Scoots, we're in trouble.
That's right.
So
thanks to all of the Too Good Studio, those that came over from the Too Good show.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for obviously the ones that continue to follow us. We'll keep upping the production value. Hopefully everyone, you may want to just play. You should just play the intro video again at the end now that we've got some more viewers. But
they can watch the VOD. That's what.
Okay, yeah, watch the
come
VOD.
On, that's how you get VODs. Yeah. We're
adding some motion graphics to things.
We don't have a studio, to like wow you guys with like some of the other folks. So you're gonna have to put up with just my little upgrades. My little upgrades.
I think if we add a third chair, we'll be right in line with Pulse.
Oh man. Okay, I can afford a third chair. So
you guys need a dog.
A dog.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, they have a cat. We can have a dog.
Okay, we can think about that.
That's all. And to the other shout outs are to the guys that are helping me continue my work on eSport Solutions. I have the logo obviously done, which I really like, and I've gotten some good compliments on. Created a landing page, working on a couple other things, going to start collecting information. It's going to take a longer process than I thought. And a shout out to the guys at International Gaming League, which is the IGL, which is the organization that I'm with as far as for running events goes, and expect some really good things there for all levels of gamers. That's it. That's all my shout outs.
Awesome. My shout outs, obviously the big shout out to Bernie for coming on and doing this. Again, it's really great to have you on, and it's particularly great because we obviously have had kind of the progress of Quantic, with Mark being part of the show in the past, and now just the rebirth. So it's kind of a cool, just kind of cool to see how it's going with the brand and the team itself. So,
right.
Again, best of luck to you guys in the future, and I'll definitely be rooting for a lot of you guys at the tournaments, particularly IPL. I guess is going to be the first one where we get to see a lot of them. So,
you're going to have a lot of eyes on you looking to see what happens. So no pressure. No pressure.
Yep. No pressure. But also I want to give a shout out to again just the mods for help always checking out or just modding the chat channel particularly today. I mean, they did a good job today, even though Scoots is actually advocating not banning some people. So Scoots just wants to go all out on them. But
I've got one last shout out I forgot.
Okay, go for it.
And the reason I forgot them is because they're more of a partner, at the moment they're a partnership, not a sponsor. That's Alienware for powering my little mini team house I have here in Southern California.
Okay, great.
Nice.
Providing me with computers.
Are we
going to
get any video takes of it, any pictures?
Yeah, I have pictures at the moment. But once the players get here in March, I'm going to start doing some stuff there. So
okay. Good stuff. So next week, guys, we're going to have Apollo, Sean Clark, on here to talk about casting. We haven't had a caster on here in a while, so Apollo is a great example of just someone who's started at the bottom and just ascended to the top. So it'll be great to have Sean in here. And I've been waiting to have him on, trying to get him on here for a while, but his schedule's been so crazy. So this might be the only opportunity to get him on. And then honestly, guys, for the next 2 months, we're booked. We have a lot of great shows planned out for rest of February and March.
We can't promise a great show. We can just promise great guests.
Yeah. No. We can always promise great shows, but not great guests. No.
There's no fluff here.
No fluff, exactly. And again, guys, David Ting will be back on in a couple weeks with someone from Blizzard too, KJ. So lots of good stuff coming up. And you can check out the VOD for this show. I'm going to upload it immediately after this, so probably an hour or two, depending on how long the processing takes. So check it out. Check out all the past shows if you missed it, and follow this channel. I will have more info on my subscription, like Scoots was saying there. I will change that tonight, in fact, to make sure that it's laid out what you get with the ChanmanV subscription. You know what it is I've been waiting to be able to change the name so I could call it, the Chan Maniacs or the ChanmanV Fan Club. So waiting for that feature, and but I'll definitely I appreciate all the subscribers and any of the folks that have supported the show in the past. I mean, of course. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this week, guys. This is ChanmanV, John Clark, and Birdie Catalan checking out. See ya.
Bye.
Damn it.